going on, kinfolk? Welcome back to my channel. Today, Travis is here. And we're gonna do the Q&A. So, we haven't seen the questions. Well, I saw a few of them, and he didn't. He saw a couple of them.
I saw one.
But
I saw one.
We're gonna go ahead and just jump right in and answer your questions. So if you want to see our responses, then stay tuned. Yoga. Stephanie Moore asks, "Hi Shanna and Travis." Hi. My question for you both is, are you interested in joining a church together, or do you guys like studying and reading the Word of God at home? Or are both of you looking for a church home? Just wondering. We read a devotional together. We don't have a church home. I personally would like to find one, but the way I feel about church, like going to church every single Sunday, I think you guys already know. I just don't think that it's everything. I think it's important to, go and, fellowship with your people, but I don't think that going to an organization every Sunday is essential. I just think that getting fed and listening to sermons and reading the Word and all that is the most important thing. I don't think that congregating in one particular place every week is like the most important thing.
I agree. I agree, but church home, I get it. Some people want to always go to church every Sunday. There's nothing wrong with that. I personally feel like I have a church home. It's back in where I grew up. The pastor I've known since he knew me before I even could remember. I was like 1 year old or so. So I kind of do feel like that will always be my church home, but I also have brothers and sisters that go to different churches, and I've been going to those churches when I go visit them for the past 10, 15 years that kind of feel like a branch off of home. So I'm not necessarily looking for a church home, and we're not looking for a church home to go to together because we do the devotionals. We do more than one. You have like 3 or 4 that you have us doing and looking at.
Yeah.
So, as long as you're getting the Word of God, I don't think that it's necessarily a necessity to have a church home. But I do have a church that I do consider home.
Yeah. And there is one, like our pastor at the campus that I used to sing at, not recently, but within the last however long, he is starting a church, and I would like to go check it out. So there's potential there for us to go, maybe, occasionally, hopefully, but we'll just see. We're just playing it by ear. If we find a place that we feel led to go, then of course, I'm going to go if God tells me to go. But otherwise, I think, my relationship with the Lord is really strong, and I just continue to get fed. So unless the Lord leads me somewhere differently. Your parents, how are they, and your sister and her family in this time of trouble? My sister and her family.
Say who that was from.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Mrs. Amaya Kobe. I'm assuming it's Kobe. My family is great. My dad is doing well. He actually, before they even quarantined everybody, my dad was saying no visitors because I think he just knew that he was in danger. He's, just battling cancer and still in chemotherapy and things. So it's just better that he just stay away from people. So they decided that a while ago, because Kareen was actually supposed to come to the States, but she had to cancel her trip, obviously. My mom is doing really well. She's always in quarantine. And honestly, so are me and Jason. Kareen and the
being an introvert.
Definitely being an introvert. Kareen and her family, Daniel and the kids, are doing really well. They're staying safe. Olivia's really sweet. Kareen told me that Olivia really wanted to help, so she decided to write letters to all her older neighbors and offer to go grocery shopping for them.
Nice.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
They're the sweetest. So they're doing really well. Sheba 2938, have you backslidden and no longer a practicing Christian?
You answer that.
His response was hilarious. That was the first question that he read, and he was just like, seriously? You answer that. I want to hear what you have to say to that.
I don't think that people want to hear what I have to say about that. Just because
Just say it.
Just because you are doing something somebody else doesn't agree with doesn't mean you've backslidden. Everybody in this world has different views. Everybody is not perfect. There's not one perfect person on this planet. So, and without going into further details, I think that pretty much sums up how I feel in a nice way.
In a nice way.
How do your cats like Travis, Rhonda? They love me, and I love them. We get along. They make biscuits on me all the time, so I'm all scarred up. She thinks it's funny.
It's just sweet. Like, they really, really, really love him. Like, they really love him. It's cute.
We gotta work on the biscuits. I need thicker clothing or something.
And those of you who don't know what making biscuits is, it's when cats like are really comfortable and then they're laying on you and they do this.
They call it kneading too.
Yeah, kneading. Like they knead on you. It's really sweet. They love him. Healthy Cooking TV asks, does Travis want kids? If so, how many?
Do I want kids? Yes, I would love to have more kids. I love kids. I always said I would have as many as my finances could, support. I have one right now, as you've seen in other videos. But yeah, I would love to have kids. But if I don't have any more kids, I'm not going to be bent out of place. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But yeah, I love kids. And if I have more, that would be great.
What does he think about marriage?
You gotta answer the question too.
She asked you.
Does Travis want kids? What do you think about Travis wanting kids?
Okay. I think it's great if he wants more kids. You guys know I've been kind of on the fence as to whether or not I wanted kids. I think a lot of it was because of fear. I honestly didn't feel like I would ever meet anybody that I would even like flirt with the idea of marrying. So I think that I kind of like let the idea of that go just because I am 37. I'm about to be... Oh my God. Wait a minute. Am I 37?
How do you forget your own age?
Am I going to be 38 this year?
Yeah, that's what happens. Every year you turn one more.
I'm going to be 38. Oh, wow. That really just clicked just now.
Ooh, I gotta edit that part.
I'm getting older. Holy cow, I'm getting older. So I think a lot of it was just to preserve myself emotionally. Like maybe I'm not going to get the chance to have children. But honestly, if Travis and I do reach that point, I could see myself having kids with him for sure because he's just a good guy and an amazing father and I would feel safe. I know that he would be a good partner and I think that we would have awesome kids. What does he think about marriage?
I think that marriage is something that I know marriage is something I strive for, but it just has to be with the right person. I'm not at an age or a point in life where I'm just dating to date, if that's what the question is asking. I believe that once you find that one person that, you make the commitment to them and get married, there's no point in just being out here dating to date around. I hope that answered the question.
Jess Fab. Hi. Can you talk more about you and Travis's experience on Bumble?
Can we?
Mine's easy. He's the only person that I went on a date with on Bumble.
Is it his experience in general or experience with each other?
In general.
Oh, in general. Okay, I was going to say, because she cut me off.
Oh.
That's out there.
I did. Okay, we'll get into that. Now you're salty?
I've been salty. We've been talked about this.
Whatever.
I was just out there hoping and wishing that she would respond.
No, you weren't. You were not even thinking about me.
I was.
You didn't say anything to me in that time.
You said that you stopped talking to me.
Because I looked at your Instagram and it looked like you partied a lot. And I was like, that's not going to work for me. Like, he's cute. I remember I actually messaged Janae and talked to Andrea and I was like, does it look like he parties a lot? And she was like, girl, yeah. And I was like, that doesn't work for me. So then I ended up like not saying anything else to him. Because we had a little chat on like the Bumble. And then he gave me his number. And then I didn't give him my number because I looked at his Instagram and I was like, man, it looks like he parties a lot. And then after I talked to him about it, I just decided to just not say anything. But then I ended up going on like OkCupid because I know a couple people who met on there. So I was like, I'm just going to check it out. And I saw him on OkCupid, and on his profile it said something like, as he gets older, he just, he just likes to just come home from work and just chill out. He doesn't go out that much. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just give him a chance. Maybe I'm just being too Shanna because I have a tendency to just cut people off real quick. And so I went back to Bumble and I was just like, hey, sorry for the delay.
And me being Mr. Nice Guy.
And I was like, it's been really busy, which it was really busy, but that wasn't the reason why. And then I was like, here's my number, good night.
It's just a lesson in perception is not reality.
Ooh, that's deep.
It's the truth, though.
Church.
I had an old boss try to tell me, well, perception is reality.
What?
Actually, it's not. Yeah, actually, it's not, sir. But yeah, so I kept fighting for her love.
You didn't even say anything in that 2 weeks. You were like, oh, well.
No, I was not. I was so stunned. But
You were stunned?
Bumble experience. Ooh. I was on... I got Bumble. How long ago did I get Bumble? I want to say back in...
He's got a lot of dating site experience.
Well, there's a certain reason why. Because on the dating scene, I feel like this is transitioning into like dating. And dating before I met Shanna. Dating was a mess. I don't know how many guys watch this, but there's probably a lot that can agree with me. That say whenever you're on like a dating site, I'm not going to put all the sites out there. I was on about 2 or 3 at a time, and I'd get off one, I'd get off all of them, and then get back on. But how dating sites in general worked for me were you would meet somebody, you would get the impression that it was a great date, and then you won't hear from them anymore. And then 3 weeks later, when they're hungry again and what another... I mean, I'm serious. Like, I'm spending all this money on dates because chivalry is supposed to be the thing, right? And I'm trying to do all that. And, I think a lot of individuals take advantage of online dating. And it's really hard for people that are actually looking for something serious because there's a lot of people out there that are just looking for even if it's something as small as, oh, I'm bored tonight, I just want entertainment at the expense of your feelings. Right. Not to sound soft, but because you're really trying to look.
Men have feelings too.
They do. Men have feelings.
Yeah, so women are looking for a free meal and men are looking for some free booty. It's basically.
I've heard horror stories of women dating on dating apps. I've seen some of the comments too.
What is your worst?
What is my
your absolute worst date experience?
The worst date experience? I didn't actually have any date that was horrible, but I guess the totality of the situation was a mess. There's one time when I was living in Atlanta, I took a girl out. We were talking, and it was off and on for like 3-4 months. It sounds crazy, but we were off and on for about 4 months just talking, and then she'll disappear. Talking, and then she'll disappear. And finally, I'm like, man, I just want to meet this girl. Like, what are we doing here? I'm not trying to date just to date, right. Dating to marry. And we ended up going out, and I took her to we met up at Papa Do's. I think I told you this story. We met up at Papa Do's. This is back when like I was driving a '94 Volvo and whatnot, and I was just really starting to date as an adult. And went out, had a great time, was laughing. I thought we had a great time, was laughing, enjoying each other's company, a lot of smiles and whatnot. Tab came up to be about $120-something tab. Offered to buy her. She said my daughter loves the food here, the cheesecake or something, some sort of dessert from here. Offered to buy the dessert, bought the dessert. Was like, yeah, take it home for your daughter, whatever. And something told me when we left. I gave her a hug, no kiss, no nothing, just a hug. Okay, it was nice to meet you finally. We left. Something told me to turn around and look back at her as I was going to my car, and I could see the facial expression on her when I was going to my car.
What was the facial expression?
Like, you driving a 94 Volvo?
Aww.
I'm not kidding you. And I got in the car. I hit her up that night, you know, basically, hey, hope you had a great time. I did that whole cliche message. Didn't hear from her ever again. Ever again.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Back then,
he's such a nice guy. Just because you had a 94 Volvo.
I don't know honestly, because I can say that's what it felt like, but also it could have been she just wanted some company for that time being, or she could have been a cheater or something and had a man and I just didn't know, or so I don't know. It could have been a whole bunch of other stuff, but I did notice when she looked at me getting in my car, she was kind of like, a lot of women, if you're going on a date and you go back to your car, they'll slide it in and be like, oh, where'd you park? Why are you the woman trying to figure out where I park? If anything, I'm supposed to be walking you to your car. You're going to ask me where I park. You know you would. Just ask me what kind of car do I drive.
Aww. So he's had a lot of bad experiences. Leroy Hill asks, where do you see yourself and Travis in 1 year?
I was hoping to have a house, but now since Shanna and I are together, hopefully we have a house so that we can have a garden and I can go fishing and stuff and
So
kind of live off the land a little bit. That's what I would love for us. And then within a year, what's a year from now? What's today, March? So March of next year? Yeah. It depends on how this corona stuff does too, but because we had plans on traveling.
We did. Actually, those question's coming up too.
So
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I would say the same. I feel like, I know we'll be together. I'm pretty confident in that. Is he intentional about your relationship? Absolutely. What do you guys like most about each other?
What do I like most? I like most that you carry yourself like a lady and you don't care about the worldly stuff that some of these influencers, some of the tactics they use to get followers and stuff. Yeah. And the way you carry yourself and the way that you're open and intentional about everything, that you don't find that often anymore. So
there's so many things that I love about Travis. Well, the biggest thing is that he's just different. Like he's not driven by the physical. He's not obsessed with a lot of things that other guys are obsessed with. He just has a different perspective on different subject. I don't know how to explain it without going into detail about every single thing, but he's just different. Like he sees the world through different lenses, and he's very intentional, and he's so kind, and he's loving, and he's generous, and he's just amazing.
Speaking of generous, I need that $5 back.
And he's a comedian. He's such a dork, I swear. But he's just a good guy. Like he just has the biggest heart, and I don't think I've ever been with anybody who is like him. Like he's just.
Thank you.
How do you show each other you love each other? I personally, I like to take care of him. So if he comes to my house after work, I'll try to have dinner ready for him. He does most of the cooking. On days this is a weekend and he works every day usually, but on the weekends he cooks more than me, and he's a really good cook, by the way. But so on days where he has a long day, I try to do little things that he doesn't really have time for during the week to make his life a little bit easier, and I hope that he sees that that's how I try to love him.
I do see it. And how do I try to show my love? By being supportive, basically what you just said. Just try to help out whenever I see that she's got a lot of work to do. I'll make dinner or breakfast in the morning when I come over. Or I help clean up, if I have some downtime, I help clean up. Do stuff like that to show that I love her, and it's more so through acts of service that I try to show the love, and I express it verbally. She probably wants me to express it verbally more often.
He's good at it though. Like, you're good at that. Unless I'm in a bad mood and you crack jokes.
Try to lighten up the mood. Waka waka waka.
I know you like to tease and play with each other, and this is funny, but how do you show your vulnerable heart to one another? Like, we do joke a lot, and we do tease each other or whatever, especially on camera. Like, I feel like what you see when we vlog is just more, like, surface stuff, but I feel like we are emotionally vulnerable. Like, even just what we've been saying up to now, like, we're not afraid to, like, tell each other how we feel about each other. Like, it's not like we just, like kids on a playground where we just make fun of each other to so that he knows I like him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we are very emotionally vulnerable with each other. So, what do your girls and your family think about him? They haven't met him yet. Actually, we were supposed to go on a vacation this coming week with Missy and Sean. We were supposed to go to Canada, actually, to see Niagara Falls with Missy and Sean. So that was going to be our opportunity for her to meet him. And Gabrielle and Chad haven't met him yet. I know that was actually a question. It's just been kind of crazy. First of all, we got the new year, and then what has happened? I feel like it's been a whirlwind of a year.
Yeah, I mean...
I've been out of town a lot.
You have. You've taken 3 business trips?
2 business trips. And then I went to Colorado to see Andrea. It's just been a crazy year. We have some things coming up, like I said, this week. Mm-hmm. So Andrea hasn't officially met him, but
I video chatted your friend, and I video chatted Janae and Andrea.
So I'm excited for them to meet him. And we want to plan a triple date at some point, because Gabrielle, Missy, and you always have our girls' days or whatever, so it's going to be fun to be able to have like a triple date with them at some point. And we haven't even had time for me to meet his friends either. My family loves him. Jason and Travis get along. I feel like you guys get along really well. Jimmy hasn't met him yet, because when we went to Chicago, you guys didn't know we went to Chicago. So a few of you asked if my dad met Travis, and yes. He actually came when Jason and I went for New Year's. Travis did come that time because, I don't know, I just felt comfortable enough, and I'm glad, because my dad got a chance to get to know him, and it was really, really nice. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, Signe and Dad both really like him a lot.
Your dad, met your mom, met your brother.
Yeah, everybody except for Jimmy. Yeah. I mean, my family is so small.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact he and Jimmy are going to get along. There's no question about that. So, and I met his family. I really love your channel, and you're such an inspiration. I wish nothing but the best for you and Travis and his son. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Such nice people.
I know.
Such nice kinfolk.
Right? I have like the best kinfolk. I really do. Okay, I'm not going to answer that one. Nietzsche Bradshaw asks, what made you show Travis to us kinfolk so early? I just knew that because he's so intentional, I wanted to take you guys on my dating journey. I really did not expect to meet someone like him just off jump like that. So I thought I was going to have a lot of horror stories to share with you guys. And I thought it would be funny, really. But then I met him, and on the first date, before I even got out of the car, he asked to see me again. And I was really, surprised. So we started hanging out. We hung out every single day, except for...
From the beginning, we didn't hang out every single day.
We did.
No, because remember that was around Christmas.
No.
And then...
We saw each other... Yeah, we went on our first date on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, and then I went out of town.
No, we saw each other on Christmas Day.
You did?
Yeah, remember? Because it ended up working out so that he got to spend...
because I went to go get icing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that he spent Christmas Day with his family in Iceland.
Yeah.
And then in the evening, he made time to come see me.
Yeah.
Which was really sweet. We saw each other every day.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And it was a little bit overwhelming for me at first, because I was so nervous. I'm so used to being single that I was just not used to it. It was refreshing though. But I knew that if I didn't vlog with him, then I would never vlog because I'm always with him. So I'm like, he was like ready to be on camera right away. Like you told,
no,
yes you
not.
were. You told Ison that I had a channel.
I told Ison that you had a channel, but remember I said, what if your kinfolk don't like me? I don't want to mess up your channel. And you were like, they will
love you, and they do love you as expected.
We're about to find out.
But I waited a little bit. I didn't wait that long, but I waited longer than I could have. I mean, he was open to being on the channel sooner, but I just knew that I wasn't really ready for the negativity, honestly. Because people seem to think they know my patterns, even though I've been in one relationship in 3 years, but whatever. When I did show him, it just felt like the right time. And it was very soon, but I was okay with that. So, what else? Were you really nervous to meet Travis's son? Yes. I was really nervous. I think a lot of it was because I didn't meet him fairly quickly, but it felt, it's really weird because even though it was quick, like it just felt right. And then when we did hang out, like it was so much fun. The way he didn't introduce me as his girlfriend or anything. At that point we weren't like official, but it was just like, hey, my friend's coming over and hanging out with us, and we ended up having like a Nerf gun war, and it was just really fun.
They teamed up on me.
Yeah, we did.
Like, Icy, you just met her, you're gonna team up on me?
Oh, he was into it. It was fun. So I was very, very nervous, but once I got there, it was just easy. And you seem really happy. I'm happy for you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Dion T. Shanna and Travis, what are your top 2 deal breakers in relationships? 2? I have way more than 2. What are you?
So picky. Makes you feel good though. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I'm meeting all the requirements. Top 2 deal breakers. Something really bothers me about being selfish. I really don't like selfish people. Because it just means you don't care about anybody. So how can you be in a relationship with someone if you don't care about them?
That's fair.
So selfish, I would say, would be one. I haven't had time to sit down and think about these or read through these questions. So this is really off the top of my head. The other one, I don't, the top 2, selfishness. And I mean, there's so many. I'll just say a couple, I guess. I don't really care for attitudes. If you can't talk to me without having an attitude about something, that's really a turnoff. Because I think that you should be able to speak like adults. The other one would be, of course, if you are, always seeking attention the wrong way by, always having your cleavage out and stuff like that, that's not attractive. I know people are like, yeah, right. No, do you want your woman carrying herself like that? No. So stuff like that is not attractive at all. I don't want my woman walking around like that. So that's another. What are your
top 2?
Yeah,
that's hard to pick just 2. Definitely, if a man does not have a relationship with God, that is an absolute deal breaker. It's downright unattractive to me. And I would say, okay, this is probably one of the most important. A man who dismisses my emotions, that's a deal breaker. That's actually why I ended things with the last one.
Yeah, I never heard that one.
I dated somebody who I was having a hard time and whatever, and he told me, Shanna, I'm not a hand holder. I'm not going to coddle you while you play victim.
Dang.
Yeah.
They said that while you play victim? Dang.
Yeah.
Savagery.
Yeah. So that was the end of that relationship. And guys don't know what to do when you feel emotional, which I don't know. But to dismiss them altogether, that's like an absolute no-go for me.
I'm so upset. My dog just died. Like, I can't hold your hand. Like,
deal with it. Grow up.
Jeez.
Yeah. Travis, if Shanna decided to move to Switzerland for 6 months, would you consider going with her? Wait, let me say, I would never ask him to do that. That's number 1. Because he has Easton. Like, I would never even put us in the position for that. But if I did.
Did your sister ask that question?
Oh, this is still Dion.
Oh.
What would you do?
If you moved to Switzerland,
Would you go with me?
I'd go sit in the corner and cry every day. Be shaking in the corner, crying.
In Switzerland?
No, not in Switzerland. In Indianapolis.
So it means he would not go with me.
I can't just up and leave my son, and I can't just up and take my son. He has a mom and family here too. Like,
yeah.
That was a clickbait question. A hot take.
A hot take.
It had a hot take.
Freddie24 asks, what are you going to do differently in this relationship than the ones that you had in the past pre-marriage and or relationships you had post-divorce? That's a good question, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-marriage,
Shanna.
Pre-marriage, I was not the same person. I feel like oh, God.
I think you just asked a long
That is a
response.
lot. I'm going to try to keep this real short. Pre-marriage Shauna is just not the same Shauna. I think I put a lot more pressure on relationships then. I was way less go with the flow. I just had a different mentality just altogether. After I got married, or after I got divorced, I didn't care anymore. I didn't even want to get married. After I got divorced, I've only been in one relationship post-divorce. Like, we were together for like 4 months, and it was a good relationship, but it just wasn't the right relationship. And I think that the way I handle that relationship is kind of not that much different than the way I'm handling this one. Just, I feel like intentionality is really important, and I think that, you know, just being just emotionally present is important. So I think that this relationship is very different in a lot of ways, but I think that, I mean, I've only been, like I said, in one relationship post-divorce, so it's hard to answer that question. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, but some, I mean, there's kind of two different angles to hit that question, because you live and you learn.
Yeah.
So you always should be developing
For sure.
as a person and growing, etc. And so I think the question is, how have you grown since your last relationship? But there is some things, and by this age, you should have a lot more things down to where you actually shouldn't have to change who you're being. Because by now, as a person, you should, you know, be on your way to being able to function in a relationship.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not about your change, and I know that sounds contradicting, but it's not all about your change, more so than who you're with and who you mesh with. But also you should grow, so there could be some little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like, to answer as far as from my perspective, I know there's some things that I've changed with me in dating, but those changes have taken place, 10, 15 years ago, as opposed to 2 years ago. I'm at a point in life where I know what I want. I know it works. I know how I should treat somebody. I know how somebody should treat me. So the tweaks would be from something like back when I was in college or something. I feel like.
No, I get that. But also in this relationship, this is probably the only relationship that I can say that I have been 1,000% myself. Like, I'm 1,000, like, the way I act with him is the way I would act if I'm alone or if I'm with Andrea. That's, like, really my gauge, because Andrea is probably the only other person that has seen the level of ridiculous that is me. So the way I am with him, like, I've never been this comfortable with any person I have ever dated, ever. So it's actually kind of liberating. I mean, there's no level of discomfort for me with him, which is really awesome.
That's good. That's how it's supposed to be.
No. Kiana Mays, do you think Travis is the one? I actually feel like he is. I do.
You can show our kids one day.
I do. It feels good. And obviously, like, I don't know what God has in store if he leads us in a different direction, but it just feels so right. You also asked, how many kids do you both want? He already answered that. I'm not even gonna say a specific number because I don't know. I definitely do feel like I would want kids with him, and however many the Lord allow us to have. I don't know. I mean, I'm getting up there. You know what I'm saying? Like we already established earlier.
Kidding? Or so,
rude. Are you guys thinking of marriage yet? If so, what things are you doing differently this time in the pursuit? I think we answered that question to a degree. Are we thinking of marriage yet?
I answered both of those kind of. 'Cause
Yeah.
we're not dating just to date.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, we're thinking about marriage. Like we're not planning a wedding.
Right. We're not
But
rushing.
yeah, but we're being intentional, and we like marriage is like the goal, and we just have to, you know, take it one day at a time to see what happens. And you know, if something happens where it doesn't work out, like I'll be really sad. But I think that we're both just moving in that direction, basically. Carol Sander, is Travis a cat lover?
I love animals. I'm not gonna say I'm over the top about cats or whatnot, but I love cats. I've been around cats pretty much since high school.
Teach Love asks, what good qualities do you see in each other that you didn't see in your past relationships?
We kind of answered that too.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest, though, is his emotional vulnerability. I feel like guys always try to put on this front and, like, don't want, or maybe that's just their personality, I don't know, where they don't want the person to know exactly how they feel. But he's always really open about how he feels about me. So I really appreciate that about him, and I'm not really used to, like, the outpouring of love. Jenny, we already answered this question. What do you like the most about one another? TDB, how do you both feel about living together before marriage?
Usually recommended by most pastors, religious leaders. It's in the quotation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't read that. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. I'm going to be really transparent. I just feel like that's a personal decision that should not be judged, and I feel like whatever a couple chooses to do is just between them and the Lord.
My stuff's between the Lord and I, so it's not for you two.
That's fair. Are you guys nervous and afraid to ever get remarried since you've both been divorced before? He's never been divorced, actually. He was never married. I am... Honestly, with Travis, I'm not really afraid, which is really weird because I was very afraid, but it feels easy with him. And I know that if we, God forbid, ever had to get to that point, I know that it would be like an amicable situation because he's just a fair person. But I feel like if we got married, then I don't see us ever getting to the point to where we get divorced, because I feel like we work through our issues really well.
And nobody really goes into marriage like just in case,
right?
Which I mean is kind of hard to not do, but
yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, like being in a bad marriage is some scary mess.
Something I don't know anything about. I've never been married at all, for the record.
I mean, imagine being in a relationship with someone who you like. Oh my God, I don't even know how to explain it. But when you marry somebody and they become someone who you didn't know that they were, that's some scary mess. And then you're stuck. Oh my God. Y'all don't even know. When you, like, living with someone is a different ball game, okay? A different ball game. So, let's
I say that's how you figure out the real person.
Oh, that's real talk.
You live with
that
them.
is real talk. I did not live with my ex-husband before we got married, and what a wake-up call. Man, that was some scary. So, yeah. Spiritually, are both of you equally yoked? I would say so. What qualities do you feel you bring out of each other? He makes me comfortable. Like I said already, I feel more comfortable with him. Like, I feel like 100% myself with him, and that's never happened before. So that's big, I think.
That's good. I don't know if this is gonna sound cocky or not. She kind of forces me into a leadership role, which I guess is not a bad thing, but like Because I'm more of the go with the team thing. I've been a team player my whole life. So it's like, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, what do you want to do? And
I'm like, you're the lead, you're the
okay,
head.
I got to make a decision. Here's a decision. We're going to eat at Waffle House. Or what brand of greens do we want to get or something? I feel like you're like, well, I trust your opinion. But believe it or not, a lot of, and this is coming from a guy, a lot of women that have been scorned or hurt in the past are not comfortable with letting the decision be with another man. So it kind of takes a big person to be like, I really trust this person. I trust my instincts. And I trust their judgment when they've been hurt before. So you bring that out of me, because normally I'm for the team. Like, okay, well, whatever everybody else wants, let's do it.
Yeah, and I am just not like it does take a lot for me to trust someone enough, but with him I do trust him, and I don't like being the leader. Like, I want a man to lead our relationship. I believe in the man, and not in a controlling sense, but just I need a strong leader.
I have no problem being a leader. It's just I always
you're not used to it.
Well, I mean, I'm the youngest of 4, and I grew up playing team sports, so
that's true.
I have no problem taking a leadership role, but from the jump, I'm gonna always give somebody an opportunity to do what they want. Yeah. But then when people like you just keep saying, well, I don't know. Okay, this is what we're gonna do then. We're gonna go to Waffle House.
I'm like, yes, we'll go wherever you want.
No, then you're like, but I'm not really feeling
Waffle
House.
No, I do not.
Like, okay, well then I'll make eggs and bacon. Well, can we eat more dinner food like steak, or maybe we should eat a little healthier? What do you want?
Don't listen to him. Mini Mocha Lop asks, I have 3 questions for you guys. Has your older brother Jimmy met Travis, and has your sister spoken to him since she lives in Switzerland? Neither one of them have met him yet. Jimmy will probably meet him sooner than later. Well, after all this craziness stops. And then Karine was supposed to meet him in April, but because of the corona situation, she can't. You had mentioned that you plan to visit your sister in Switzerland, but with everything going on, are you still planning to go later in the future? And will Travis go with you to meet her and her family? I did have plans to go to Switzerland this year. It wasn't going to be until probably the fall. As soon as I told him right off the bat that I was going to go see her. And I usually go for 3 weeks, but I won't go for that long. I'll go for probably 2. And he already was trying to figure out a way to get the time off of work in order to come with me. So hopefully we'll be able to go, because I really want to go visit. Brittany Summerlin. Was it hard transitioning from having a personal routine being single to starting a new one with Travis? That's a good question.
She asked also, can you give tips on the adjusting?
Yeah, if not, then can you give tips on adjusting to being in a relationship in regards to schedules? It was hard adjusting because I'm so used to doing things the way I want to do it. Like, I would get up really early, I would go to bed like really early, and a lot of times if I want to spend time with him during the week, he doesn't get off work until late, so I have to stay up, which was really hard for me at first.
When we first started talking, I would get off at 8 and you'd be getting ready for bed.
Yeah, normally I'll be in bed already. Like, already in bed. So that was a challenge for me, especially because, like, I was going to the gym at like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Not me.
So in order to get up that early, I would go to bed at like literally 7:30 or 8. And I liked that, so it was hard. But now I feel like I've got a rhythm. So tips on adjusting. I think just being flexible is really important, because if you really want to be with this person, then it's not about you. And I had to realize that it's just not always about me. So if I really want to spend time with him, like I said, then I have to be a little bit more flexible. I'm kind of rigid when it comes to my schedule. My friends know that, and they actually give me a hard time about it because I'm like, if I want to go to bed at 8 o'clock, I'm going to bed. Like you want to hang out, we're gonna hang out early. We gotta do an early dinner. Like there's no late dinners here. We gotta go to bed.
You still eat late dinners.
I don't eat late dinners. That's true.
Yeah, there ain't no adjustment there.
I don't eat. I try not to eat past 7:30 because my digestive system doesn't cooperate. You know what I mean? But in regards to staying up later, I've adjusted.
Yeah.
So I think it's just important to be flexible. I don't know how to give you tips on that other than, is the person worth it?
Well, you make time for people you like, and
Yeah.
if it's almost kind of a natural thing, because if you really like them, then you're gonna want to spend time with them, and you're not gonna want to be selfish and say, well, if you really like me, then you got to do this, and that, and jump through those hoops with fire on them. So then it kind of naturally starts meshing over time. You don't have to. It shouldn't feel forced, but there should be effort. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And if it feels like you have to force it, then maybe that person's not right.
Right. You shouldn't have to force it, but there should be effort.
Carolyn Batista, how is your sis and her family? Great. Taka Boom's Room asks, Travis, how do you determine who should meet your son and when? That's a good question.
Yeah.